Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick Chun with the Global Peace Let's Talk World Civility Index in the United Kingdom. And today we're very happy that we have somebody to talk about social impact and what it actually means. So today we have Joseph Mughagho from Malawi, and he is an expert in terms of sustainability issues in Africa. And so we're going to be talking about what does it mean for companies to be showing sustainability. And so without further ado, here is Joseph. Joseph, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Patrick. I know it's an afternoon there, but it's an evening in Malawi.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Indeed, I'm Joseph. My last name is actually pronounced Mughagho. That's a different language in Malawi.
Okay.
One of the languages that we speak in Malawi, so it's actually Mughagho.
Whoa.
Yeah, indeed. Today, we are sharing the social impact. I've done a lot of research on sustainability, mainly in the organizations and NGOs in particular. But what has been discovered is that most NGOs will not report, or most companies are unable to report on the impact that their services are doing. So today, I'm going to share the social impact and how we can report it.
Okay. Yeah, please share. Yes.
Yeah, so today's topic is on social impact. What is it? What is it? What is the social impact? The social impact basically is an impact that your services as an organization do on the other people, on other stakeholders. Each company or each organization has got stakeholders which are directly involved in their own way, and they usually have an impact, and this impact is on long-term impact. Basically, let's look at a few wise words about social impact. One of the philosophers said, you can build your own business around being the most helpful in the world, but don't forget why you started in giving back, which means any business that is there to give to the community, and you should not forget why you started giving back to the community. Then another one said, these are two people, James and Chrissy. They said, we think it is important to reinvest half of our profits in the business, which is normally the case. Shareholders would like to put back whatever they benefited into the business, and half of them share themselves. But why should we also invest in the community? Because for us to exist as a business, we need the community. And we need also to invest back. This way, that's the only way you're going to be sustainable, because people actually see that you are able to give back whatever you have done to them. This could be a health center, it could be a community, a secondary school, or just sponsoring a few, sponsoring a few students who are needed into school. That in that way, the community will appreciate that you are able to give back to them. Now, let's look at this. 72% of the global greenhouse emissions come from individual consumption. This is consumption that we do every day. 72% of that come from us. Now, if we want to change anything, then it's supposed to start with us. What it means is most companies or most organizations, they're emitting greenhouse gases. But what is it that they're doing to make sure that that is reversed? This is the social impact we're talking about. Right from where we're coming from to the community we have and why we're existing. Now, it is because of this that we need to understand why the social impact is and how can we assist, or how can we report about what we have done over the years. What is it? A social impact basically is what you do, the consequence of your activities, be negative, be positive. And this impact could be in the health, could be in the services you are giving as a consultant, could be the corporate social responsibility, could be international development as well, because any development that you are doing, one way or the other, is going to destroy something. The environmental sustainability, the or the policies that we're actually designing, are they able to assist to enhance social impact? The education system we have, the civil rights we have. On civil rights, we know nowadays we're all talking about human rights, but we should also know that human rights are only that arm's length. Anything above that, below that, or beyond that, you are infringing on someone's rights. Then the non-profit or social enterprise, what is it that we're doing? Then the social entrepreneurship, what is it? All these things that are impacting on the social beings. Categories. We have population and characteristics, we have the political social, we have the community's resources, community and institutional infrastructure of themselves, then most of all, the individual and the family changes that we bring. Any company that will come in an area, for example, want to build a hydroelectric power station, some people will be moved out. There will be ground clearing, forest will go. How does it impact on those individuals? How does it impact on community resources? How does it impact on political and social resources? How does it impact on population characteristics? If we are moving people, sure, not everyone will move. Others will stay because they would like to work within the hydropower. How does that affect the population characteristics? How does it change the things? So these are things that as companies, we need to look at when we are dealing with social impacts.
It's sorry to interrupt, but it's a far cry from what happened 20, 30 years ago. A lot of companies' management philosophy is that, well, we don't care about your family, we don't care what is outside of work. As long as you perform at work, that's fine. That was the view. But it seems like we have come full circle to realize that unless you look at it holistically, problems are not really solved. You just move the problem somewhere else or sweep it under the rug, like they would say, and forget about it. But then it comes back and haunts you. But yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. If you look at the Industrial Revolution time, we had coal because we needed the power. But see what coal has done now. All those open pits, who is feeding them? Nothing has happened. So all other diseases like tuberculosis, cancer, whatever, they are a result of that industrial revolution. So when we are doing anything, any development that we are doing, we should also look at those population characteristics, the community resources, the political issues, the community, and most of all, the family changes. Yeah. So how do we do the impact assessment? Because after explaining all that, all those categories, we really need to see how has it impacted that. So when you are doing the social impact assessment, look at the economy. How is it a positive or a negative? The environment, how is the environment being taken care of? The culture, remember, we are actually moving individuals here. How is their culture affected? There are some people or some communities where culture is their bonding link. Now, if we come in, how are we affecting them? The policies that we are going to implement on that, are they affecting their social well-being? Let's look at the risks and hazards. This is why sometimes we will have the environmental impact assessment, because basically we are trying to look at the risks and hazards, which will affect the economy, which will affect the environment, which will affect the culture, which normally the culture is not actually taken care of, but it's very important because culture is what that people binds people together. Yeah, then we should also bear in mind that the social impact or social liabilities has a direct impact on our social sustainable development goals. The 17 development goals, whenever we're doing this social impact assessment, we should also be mindful on how the 3 pillars of sustainable development are affected. Socially, are we nurturing the community? That's the culture, the population characteristics. Environment, are we able to make sure that the environment is actually being taken care of? Economical. Now, you find that in between, economical is supposed to be equitable. within solution. It should be environmental viable within that, and it should be bearable. Let's not bring things that will affect the environment, will not bear it, or the social will not bear it. People actually resent, and once they resent, you find that your organization comes an area, it becomes always in conflict with the population. So let's try to make sure that all the three pillars of sustainable development are actually taken care of when we are doing these things. Then let's look at this critically. All that we're talking about, the economy, the end of hunger, gender equality, whatever we're doing in the economy, they're only based on the four things. The bottom dice, those are the four. That's life on land, clean water, life underwater, and climate change. Those four things support the 13 SDGs. So whatever an organization wants to go in an area, or an NGO wants to go in an area, they should be looking at those things. They should be looking at how are we affecting life underwater? How are we affecting life on land? Are we providing clean water on that? Are we affecting the climate? If that is not done, that's where we are now. Because the Industrial Revolution was not able to take care of those four things. Now we are back to, I don't know whether we're back or we are supposed to be, we're supposed to be at the West stage. But what we have reached now is a lot of things are changing. The glaciers are melting up in the North Pole. There are a lot of cyclones, a lot of climate change and whatever, you have floods and whatever, because we have not taken care of the four basic things that Earth provided for.
It's very critical. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and we have almost like 3 months of continuous sunshine. It sounds very good, especially since in Vancouver, historically, it rains a lot, but we have basically a drought here. All the grass are turning brown. In Vancouver, we hardly ever have that. Usually the grass are always green because of all the rain. But yeah, we can definitely feel the change here in Vancouver.
Yeah, so that's what is happening. Unless this is taken care of, definitely a lot of things are going to happen, and we are yet to pay for it. We really have to do something about it, and we need to make sure that the world is moving in the right direction. Yeah, now that brings us to the three pillars of the actual social impact. That is issues of social, which is the population, then we're talking of governance, that's policies and what have you, then the environment. The environment, that's where we are, the earth, what I've just presented before this slide, then the social, that's the population that we are trying to assist, then the governance, what are the policies that we are individually, as companies, as NGOs, what is it that we are putting in place to make sure that these things happen? Yeah. Now, this is what it entails. That's we need to establish an environmentally responsible society. A society that will be able to take care of its own environment. As an NGO, as a company, as whatever organization, as government, we need to make sure that our population is able to understand that they need to be environmentally responsible. We ourselves, we need to have that. Then we need to enhance the quality control and technological capabilities. Quality control, we are having a lot of electronic gadgets now, and most of them we use them only for 1 year. What happens to the next? If I throw it in the bin, what happens? Okay, some organizations are able to come in and recycle them, but it's not all of them. One time I was watching a film which was actually looking at how oceans have been polluted. You find that a plastic which was thrown out in the United Kingdom find itself in Philippines.
Mhm.
What are we doing about it?
Mhm.
As organizations, socially, we need to make sure that there's occupational health and safety. These people that are working in the electronic companies, are they protected? Do we think of their health at the end of the day?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, when you are reporting, some people will actually look at these things. How well are you taking care of your employees? How well are you taking care of the environment? Then, socially, are we able to develop and retain human resources? Training one personnel in electronics, I think, costs a lot of money. Are we able to retain them? And if we're able to retain them, do they have their occupational and safety in place? Then governance issues. Are we able to implement the compliance formulas that are rigorous enough, that are watertight, to make sure that they are able to mitigate all what that have been said?
Mhm.
What about our supply chain management? There's an issue of child labor. It's very common, I think, in the third world.
Mhm.
Some tobacco, maybe tobacco farmers, they have not been able to sell on the global market because of child labor. How are we managing that? There are some companies who only buy from you if and only if you are using recycled material.
Mhm.
How are we managing that? What is our policy on all those things? So these things are being presented now because we just want to make sure that when we are doing the reporting on social impact within our organization, we should be able to say, okay, this is what we are doing on this pillar, that pillar, that pillar, that pillar.
Mhm.
Which basically at the end of the day, as you see at the end of this presentation, they are connected to your vision, to your mission statement, and your core values of the organization. So we need to make sure that all these things are done. Alignment, as I've just said, all this what we have been doing, or what we are saying, they need to be aligned to your vision, mission, and core values of your own organization. Unless that is done, it will be very difficult for you to interpret within your own reporting. Because people will say, okay, you say your core value is to be environmentally friendly. What are you doing about the recycled materials? You are saying your vision is to have a vibrant personnel which is dedicated to what? Is it to environment? Is it to the social people? Then your mission, that which is the very reason why you're existing, how does it protect the other stakeholders in terms of environmental pollution? So whatever we're doing or whatever you want to report on, make sure they're aligned to your three things. That's the vision, mission, and core values of the company. What is it that you believe in? And you should be talking, you should be walking the talk, as the usual said.
Mhm.
Then the approach. How do you approach the whole thing that we've been saying so far? You need to have an impact strategy. We need to have, as an organization, we need to have a strategy. How are we going to do the impacts? How are we going to analyze them? Who is going to do what and why? Then we need to analyze and learning and demonstrate that, yes, as organization A, we have saved the population, or have saved the earth by doing A, B, C, D. Are we able to communicate and get the necessary feedback from the stakeholders? Stakeholders could be your local community, could be your own employees, which most of the time is actually ignored, the local employees. We only look at your profit and what have you, but we don't get the feedback from them. As long as they are producing for us, that's fine. The communities, the pollution that you are doing, what is it that is, how is it affecting those people? Are you able to get that feedback? Unless that is done, then you find that your approach may not be as it's supposed to be. And some companies will say, we're not investing in this because the whole purpose of having a social impact reporting is to make sure that you attract investors. And each investor has got the particular needs or interest in your company. So make sure that your strategy is encompassing all major stakeholders within your own setting.
Mhm.
The dimension of the social impact. Basically, what it means is there are actually about 5 steps. Who is it for? When you're actually doing the social impact reporting, whom are you addressing? What are you addressing? How much have you addressed? How much have you contributed? And what risks have you mitigated? Those are the dimensions. So when you're doing the reporting, make sure whom are you addressing and what is it that you're addressing? And how much have you done? Is it a positive contribution or a negative contribution? You find that most companies will actually be reporting only the positive ones. And if someone discovers the negatives one, well, then it means you are losing your shareholders, you are losing the trust, you are losing everything. So make sure when you are reporting on contributions, both the negative and positive one needs to be contributed. That's honesty. That's being honest. That's integrity of the company, which is key to attracting new shareholders. Then risks. What risks have you encountered, or what risks do you anticipate at the end of the day? It's only when you are able to disclose the risk that people understand that you know exactly what you are doing.
Mhm.
What is the approach? The approach basically is in three or four. You have the groundwork, you have the data collection part of it, or the metrics, then you have the actual communication. So basically there will be about 3 or 4 of them. Now, during the groundwork, what is it you are trying to address? You are looking at your mission statement, your vision, and your goals. Each organization will have its own goals to achieve. It will have your own mission statement. And this mission statement is why we exist. Then the vision, that's the ideal situation that we have to find ourselves in. Now, for this to work better, you need to look at your organizational structure. Does it have necessary people? I know there are some organizations which are currently many in the Western world where they have a sustainability manager. Do we have that person within our organization? Okay, if we don't have the person, is there someone who is responsible for such type of issues? Then the theory of change. What process are we going to take? Who is going to be involved? And how are we going to report that? What will be our key performance indicators within the theory of change? The theory of change or performance indicators is a topic on its own, which I think as we go along, we'll be able to assist one another how you can construct key performance indicators on that. Then managing change. Change is easy to come. We can change things even today. But to manage that change is totally a different thing. Do we have the right people who can manage that change? Do you have the right orientation on the board, the executive and shareholders and other stakeholders to manage that change? Unless we're able to manage the change, then all the 3 that we have said will be useless. And everything that comes in between, from now to reporting, will also be will not materialize at the end of the day. That's what I was talking about, the data collection. What is it that we're measuring? The key performance indicators. And are we using the standards, the accepted standard metrics? which are provided by the International Standard Organization or whatever certifying body that you can get within your industry, because each industry has got its own standards, which are supposed to be interpreted by everyone else. Then the data collection tools. What tools are we using? Well, that will be key as well. If you mismatch the tools used with the standards, then your data, your reporting will also not be correct, will not be valid, will not be relied upon. The accurate data now. What is the data strategy? What strategy are we using to collect our data? Are we just using random people, or people who are volunteering, or people who are established, who are knowledgeable? Do they have the capacity to collect the data? As an organization, do you have a capacity to store that data? Because sometimes you can collect the data, but we are not able to process it within our own. We must have a strategy on how best we're going to process that data and who is going to be involved on that. Then the tools to be used, as I mentioned already. What tools are there? On this one, we need to be very careful. Data tools need to be user-friendly. What I mean is something that can be easily be used and also interpreted, because it's not everyone that will be a statistician among the group. There are some people who they need just to, it's simple. They can do the job, but they need a simple tool. So we need to have the tools that are going to be very useful, and we need to have the capacity to store that data and process it, but also we need to have a better strategy, the frequency, the reporting, who vets what. Those are the strategies. Who is a custodian of the data? You cannot leave sensitive data with everyone within the company. There should be specific people who are responsible for that data. Then communication, which is more important. It's of no use collecting all the data and keep it. It is usually said that a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Basically, what they mean is whatever you have done, you need to communicate. Remember, the issue here is to make sure that we are able to attract new shareholders. We are able to attract donors on the whole thing. So we need to communicate. But now, when you're communicating, there need to be quality principles. What is it that we want to communicate? Where most of us, we may have English as a second language. It needs to be very simple. What is it that we're going to include in the report? With this, we're going to see in the next slides. What is it that we're going to include in the report? And which audience are we reaching out to? Now, within the organization, we have shareholders, we have directors, we have management. They have their own way they want to have this, the communication or the report. Then we have the government, which is interested mainly on the tax issues. What is it that we want to communicate? Then we have the activists, maybe environmental, human rights, you name it. They have their own way information, which means when we're presenting that information, we need to make sure that it's cross-cutting to everyone, so that you don't go back and say draft tailor-made. No, when you're doing a report, make sure it's cross-cutting. Then before it's released, evaluate it within your own. Make sure all the parameters are actually done or are actually met. Then use the storytelling approach. The storytelling approach, basically what it means is you are telling a story to make it more fun. Don't be too rigid with your grammar or whatever, or scientific way. No, make it simple so that everyone, even a grade 7 pupil, can actually have a look on it and take something from it. A professor should also be able to take something for it. So A storytelling approach is much better because you basically, it's like you are chatting with someone else and they're able to grasp that thing. If you're doing it through a video, well, fine, and make sure your presentation is actually the way that it attracts or you are engaging with your audience. Let's look at the communication. Your first page or your first 3 pages will basically be looking at your mission statement, your vision, your short-term goals and long-term goals, and your program structure. Basically, you are saying you are introducing your company. We are company X. Our vision is to make sure that everyone gets bread or bread at every table as your vision. Mission statement is to make sure that we are producing bread in our country and beyond using environmental friendly processes. Your short-term goal is to make sure that bread is available in the market. Long-term goal, make sure that the environment or the farmer is able to adapt environmental friendly processes of growing wheat. So in that way, you have actually we have basically given them a picture of who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Then the next page will have the program structure. Who is involved? So there will be profiles of board of directors, executive management, and some donor shareholders will actually even look at their qualifications, though sometimes it's immaterial because having a qualification is something else and driven is something else as well. So, but look at the norms of your country or of your region, then adapt to that. Then what activities have you done on the social impact? So you look at your activities, you look at the inputs that you did, you look at the outputs and the outcomes. People are interested in the outcomes, which are aligned to your theory of change. Then how did you come to that? Then the narrative part. Who are your key stakeholders and their characteristics? What is it? What has been the input and the output, the resources that you have, the expected theory of change, and what actually happened within the year? What happened after you had done everything? What happened? The change process. So we say, okay, fine. We approach farmers in community X. We taught them that growing organically wheat has got these benefits to their health. 1, 2, the value or the market value of the organically grown wheat was this, and X number of farmers adopted it with a percentage mark. So you took the message to them based on your vision and mission and goals to tell them, well, as much as we have been using fertilizer, but this fertilizer has got following impacts on our soils and climate. Now we would like to change you to go to organically grown wheat. And these are the incentives. So those are the processes that we have actually, so you need to say that. And if not, most people did not pick it up, explain why they did not do it. Then what were the outcomes? Which is a conclusion. So basically, okay, number of farmers took it up, the others that wait and see, or we're expecting that next year, instead of having only 100, we'll have 110. Highlight the long-term vision of the organization. You need to do that as well. What is the long-term vision? Emphasize on the work of your team. As I was explaining, they went to the fields. There they asked their farmers to do whatever they're about to do, and there were incentives done on that. don't be afraid to include what's gone wrong. This is where most companies, maybe most organizations, will not want to disclose. However, if you look at the issue of integrity, if you use an issue of ethics, we will find out that it's much better to say what went wrong so that you are able to be assisted, because you cannot be assisted unless people know what your problem is. Now, if you hide your problem, people invest millions there, either one day things go wrong, surely you have another Arion scandal. Use your sources to convey the impact. Basically, sometimes you don't have to hire someone to do the communication for you. Use the people that are within your own organization, because they know it better. If you bring a consultant like me, anyway, I'll be able to assist and whatever, but the person to communicate this, the best person will be the one within the organization. That will be the best person. Focus on outcomes, not outputs. What are outputs? Outputs are, you bring in money, you go to a field, people grow wheat. That's an output using your resources. What are the outcomes? The outcome is the impact that has happened after they have grown wheat on organically. Their income has increased. Climate has been mitigated. Food security. That's the outcome. That's what you need to report on, and that's what you need to emphasize on. Lastly, highlight the counterfactual of your work. What challenges were there? Maybe there was the issue of culture. That was a challenge. Resource constraints. That's a challenge. So basically, or in a nutshell, this is what social impact is all about. This is a long-term process. It's not a process that is going to be only today. We're going to have a series of them, and hopefully that as we move along, we should be able to assist each other on how best we can assist on the social impact. You can contact Patrick Chan. He'll be there for you, and definitely I'm also available. Just go through him. I'm available anytime you want us to come in. We'll come in. We'll provide a session either as a group on a company or on individual basis, depending on your company needs. I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Joseph, for a comprehensive look at what is social impact, what is sustainability, and some of the issue I hear from you as well. There is this this issue, and that is company reporting on themselves as to how they're doing in social impact. I almost liken it to having the fox guarding the hen house. It usually don't work very well. And if anything that I've learned, it's in business, we should try to take out honesty from the equation. Let honesty not be part of the equation if possible. And that is having, for example, a third party, neutral, unbiased party in doing the judgment. And there are a lot of rating, a lot of rankers, companies doing that. So they see an annual report from a company and they will rate it. They will say, well, this is just a pile of shit, and gives it a C. Or wow, this is really good. They give it a AAA. So those are some of the checks and balances. One of the things I think companies can avoid and also enhance is that they actually partner with NGOs. NGOs are inherently not there to make money. Like I run an NGO and I have collected zero salary. Money is not in the interest of an NGO. And so when a company can couple with an NGO and the NGO do a lot of the social impact work for them, there are two advantages. One is the NGO know what they're doing. They have been doing it for a long time, and a social impact. And the second thing is a lot of companies, their social impact work is not their core business. They may be building some products and so on that is totally unrelated to environment and so on, but yet they have to do something like that. But where some NGOs specialize in that. So if they can work with good NGOs in doing something like this, then I think it will be mutually beneficial in that regard. And I think that is something, in the next session, you and I, we can talk about something like that. And also some of the issues you mentioned too, the theory of change and so on. And that would be something I think you would benefit our audience in a very big way.
Yeah, I agree with you that most companies would not want to report on the negative part of it, which normally in accounting field we call window dressing.
Yeah.
And it would be better if they use an independent person. However, that independent person also will be limited because of the issue of disclosure, non-disclosure agreements. However, we can take on a bland ambassadorship point of view where an NGO which is championing recycling, we can use that as our ambassador. Wherever they go, they can do that for us as an organization. In that way, we are making an impact at the end of the day, which is a topic that we need to look at as well. How do we attract NGOs to be our ambassadors? Of course, surely, because they are doing something on your behalf, they will need resources to do that. But also an extension to that, even the NGO itself, when it's doing this ambassadorship, they're also enhancing their own brand at the end of the day. So it's a win-win situation, and the organization needs to work on a win-win situation all the time. They don't have to work on only me I should benefit, but everyone else should be able to benefit on it. So I agree with you 100%. I agree with that. And these are issues that when you are reporting on social impacts, they need to be taken in consideration. Or when you're making your own strategy on how you're going to be reporting on social impacts, they need to make sure that they are included within the stakeholder issues. So I agree with you.
Well, thank you very much, Joseph. I think it has been a very enlightening session today, and we can chat more, but we have limited time, and I think we stop here and then continue on the next time on then.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon.
Okay, let me see. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll chat again
welcome.
next time then.